Hello, and thank you for joining me today on Geezers of Gear, episode number 208. Today's podcast is brought to you by Stratum Productions. Stratum understands that successful events hinge on flawless execution. With years of experience in the audiovisual industry, Stratum Productions specialize in providing event planners with cutting-edge solutions that seamlessly blend technology and creativity. From intimate boardroom meetings to sprawling conventions, Stratum are committed to delivering experiences that resonate and leave a lasting impact on audiences of all sizes. Stratum Productions truly do stand out above the rest when it comes to event production. To learn more about the Stratum team and what they do, and also who they are as a company, please visit stratumpro.com. And today's podcast is also brought to you by Live Event Productions. Amplify every experience with live events, an end-to-end event production company offering off-the-chart solutions for your sound, light, video, rigging, effects, and equipment rental needs. Live Event full-service event production team is an assembly of companies including Active Production and Design, Delicate Productions, Gemini Sound, Light and Video, Pyrotechnico Effects, and Zenith Lighting. From intimate gatherings to stadium-sized spectacles, their brands produce the perfect mix of production elements to best serve your needs. Whether you're setting up for a singular event or a world tour, they have the gear available for rent or purchase. Their precision-balanced approach seamlessly integrates sound, light, video, and effects to arrive at optimal solutions for your event or installation. Achieve audio awesomeness and visual brilliance while the Live Events family of professionals provide an unforgettable service style and experience. If you dream it, they can do it. Allow Live Events to perfect your production from concept to curtain drop. Contact Live Events, your humble servants of Heck Yeah, today by visiting liveevents.com. Yeehaw, it's episode 208, folks. So thanks for coming. I appreciate you coming. And so I want to talk about a few things before we get started here. First of all, GearSource launched our new platform last weekend. I know this is shameless self-promotion. We launched late Friday night, middle of the night, Saturday morning, I guess. And it's gone mostly really well. I will tell you that whenever you're launching a platform this complicated, and ours is very complicated, it's challenging and you are going to have some bugs. I know some of you listening probably have bumped your head on some of those bugs, but fortunately, it's been mostly my team who have bumped their heads on stuff because we've been doing all the testing for the most part in-house. We do use some external testers every once in a while, which basically are our customers. But, you know, I'm very proud of what we're doing right now. Like one of the big things that we're doing is completely evolving our payments system. And we've really struggled since COVID with our payments system. And some of you who do business with us know that. I'm not making any excuses. It has sucked at times. And it's completely revisioned and completely changed, evolved. And so now basically, like I will tell you, yesterday a few orders came in that were paid for, whether they were wire transfers. I think 3 or 4 of them were wire transfers. A couple of them were credit cards. But even wire transfers were paid in the same day. We received the funds the same day and were paid out to the sellers the same day. So I actually had a couple sellers reach out to me last night going, I've never seen anything like this. Like I can't sell on Facebook. I can't sell on eBay and get paid the same day that I've sold something. It's unheard of. And so even if you're taking a wire transfer directly from a customer, let's say you meet somebody on Facebook Marketplace and he sends you a wire transfer, chances are you're not going to get it same day. With our platform, you do. So, well, I can't promise you that every time, but it's within, call it 48 hours. But it's very, very quick. We don't have any access to your cash. Nobody has access to your cash except you. It's a very cool system. And we also have this AI shipping system now that gives you a freight quote in the shopping cart. So it's instant. Really cool. If you haven't checked it out yet, please check it out. We appreciate the support. It's been a hell of a year, so we're really looking to our client base to help pay for this now, because we've spent a lot of money going on to this new platform because we've had one heck of a year. So more good news. So Geezers of Gear, our podcast, is growing. For the first time ever, we're actually adding an employee. And so we've added a producer. I now have a producer who works for Geezers of Gear, who is going to help put together all of these episodes, help basically invite and sign on our guests, sign on our sponsors, make sure that everybody's happy, help promote the podcasts after the fact, God forbid, do some marketing. And so that person is Sarah Burney. And some of you might know Burney already. She's an amazing person. She worked for GearSource for a while and, has continued to be very close to us. She's based in Europe. She's British. She's amazing. She's, one of the most likable people you'll ever talk to. So if you happen to be a guest or a sponsor, you will probably be talking with Sarah at some point here in the near future. But looking forward to having Sarah on board. She's a great person. I really like her. I'm so happy that she decided to do this. And so, so that's exciting. Lots going on in our industry. Some things that I definitely can't talk about, that I'm privy to some information, but behind the scenes, there's a few companies being sold. There's a major company CEO who's stepping down right now. So much more going on, but I don't know. I think, the weather is shifting a little bit to where, I just think some things are going to change. I'm not saying our industry's going in a downward trend or anything. I just think there's some changes coming. I think fiscal responsibilities are becoming a little bit more important. And I reckon there's some changes coming. And if you guys haven't seen this Michael Rapino article, he's the CEO of Live Nation. It's a really, really interesting article where he talks about the fact that touring is still growing. Of course, they're a public company, so you have to put out these reports that say it's getting bigger, share prices are going to go up. And that's all. When you're a public company, all anybody cares about is growth. And so I'm not saying that he only cares about growth, but obviously that's the focus, is people put in money to the stock market and they want to see that money grow. That's why they're putting it into the stock market. But his angle is that there's currently a lot more demand in the market than there is supply. And, he was addressing the pricing problem, or the expected or people think that there's a pricing problem, the perception of a pricing problem on ticket prices. He says it's a PR problem, not a pricing problem, that actually, I forget the number, 65% of their tickets are under $100, I think. That he thinks that for the most part, ticket prices are actually undervalued and underpriced. And so I think a lot of people who are paying for tickets might argue that, but that's what he says. And then one of the really great examples that he used as far as the market growing and there being a lot more capacity available for the market to grow is Bad Bunny. He talked about Bad Bunny, the fact that Bad Bunny has 150 million between followers and streaming listeners on the streaming platforms, like especially Spotify. So he said 150 million basically customers that Bad Bunny has, and all we have to do is sell a total of 3 million tickets. So our job is a piece of piss. It's dead easy. Our job's simple. And it's a pretty interesting angle. Whether or not he's correct on that, I don't know. But the fact that Bad Bunny actually communicates to 150 million people and you only have capacity for 3 million tickets, I could see not only that continuing to grow, but also that continuing to drive the pricing up on tickets. And so I think there's a ceiling on ticket prices. I don't know if there's a ceiling on capacity for buying tickets, so we'll see. But, according to at least Live Nation, who are the biggest promoter out there, they think that there's massive growth coming still in the live events business. And the whole article was about live events versus streaming music. And streaming music, um, you know, the difference, I guess, there is there's no scarcity. Streaming music has no scarcity. You can stream as many times as people want to stream. Whereas with live event tickets, there is scarcity. There's only so many tickets you can print. There's only so many butts you can fit in seats in venues. And so that scarcity, I guess, also helps drive up the need, the market demand, and the pricing as well. So, again, I know I've probably called for doomsday for a long time, saying that the touring business can't keep growing at the rate that it is, but apparently it can. The CEO of the biggest company out there who's selling these tickets says that it's going to continue growing. So I think that's a good thing for all of us. I think that's an amazing thing. I think we've got a really strong 2024 touring season coming from everybody I'm talking to, which are a lot of the top people out there in the touring business. They're saying that we have a really strong 2024 coming. So that's a really great thing. So anyways, our guest today is an incredible guy. I actually don't have a prior relationship with this gentleman who is Michael Springer. I think we've spoken, we've met, we've said hello, but we don't really have a relationship. So I didn't know that much about him. And so he kind of sent me some documentation, basically kind of telling me who he is and giving me some of his background and his upbringing and stuff. And I'll tell you, wow, what a friggin' story this guy's got. His name is Michael Springer, but it could very well be set for Jerry Springer. He's got some wild stories. And so I'm really excited to talk to him. So let's just go ahead and get this party started. Michael, hello.
I better stop tapping. Hello.
Oh, you just tapped.
Hello.
And we recorded it.
I did.
You were tapping.
Oh, damn it. I did tap.
Good. It's all good.
Sorry about that.
It says you've got probably more rhythm than, most production people.
There you go. Yeah, I was a drum tech for a while.
Oh, right. Yeah, I read that on your bio. You know who has, sometimes I've seen lighting designers who will stand at the console, or lighting directors, and they'll be tapping their foot like way off the beat or their leg or whatever, but the shots are all really good. But one of the guys who was always so good, do you know John Broderick?
I don't know of the name, but probably maybe passed him in my life, but don't.
Broderick was the LD for Metallica for, I don't know, 30 years until Rob Koenig took over recently. 5 years ago or something. But Broderick always had to use an old analog console because he was basically like a drummer on that console. Like it was like dun-dun-dun, 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 all the shots had to be right.
All the hits.
All the hits had to be quick and right on point and stuff. And so he always used either analog consoles, or once it went to a digital console, he used a D to A converter so that he could send analog signal to make the lights trigger faster and all this stuff. Yeah, it was.
I love analog. I'm an analog guy anyway. I mean, I'm not a gearhead per se. But analog's what I grew up with. I have never ridden on a Prevost bus. I've only ridden on Silver Eagles. So,
oh, really? That's wild.
Yeah, never. Yeah, I got out off tour. Yeah. Once Clear Channel took over the business, I kind of got out of rock and roll because I saw the bean counters come in and the whole thing transpire. And
so you did that on purpose? You stopped touring on purpose? Oh, wow.
Yes.
Good for you. It's nice when people can make that choice on their own and it's not made for them either by a wife or by a health
boss
or by a boss. Yeah.
Right.
Never touring again. Yeah.
No, I did that. The record labels weren't what they were. The promoters were getting bought up. The bean counters were just taking over everything and not caring about the band, the artist, the thing. And I was like, forget this. I'm done. I did my 20 years.
By the way, it doesn't bother me.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying not to.
It's all good. Yeah, but it has changed an awful lot, obviously. But so at some point you just decided to quit touring and got your IATSE card and started doing local stuff?
Well, no. What happened was 1976. I mean, I could start wherever you want
Well,
me
no,
to,
no,
but
we'll start. I'm just asking a very
yeah,
specific
yeah, no, I
question.
got out
Yeah.
of it. I got out of it and got into the film world, working
Oh,
on
right. Yeah,
film
yeah, yeah.
commercials. I worked with one of the top commercial directors in the world. His name was Mark Kapos with Kapos Films, and I
Yeah.
started as a PA. I went from a tour manager to a production assistant
Yeah.
to learn every aspect of it. And I went through doing props, doing a little bit of
So you
lighting,
stopped
doing this
touring
stuff.
really early on. Like
Yeah,
really. Oh,
96.
wow. Yeah, I
So I
thought
only
you
had
were
20
still doing
years.
I thought you were still doing
No,
stuff recently.
No, I don't
Hmm.
tour anymore, but I do shows. I'm hired to be a production manager or a producer or a technical director or a stage manager or whatever it is. I do freelancing stuff.
Cool.
I've owned three companies. I've
Yeah.
owned Flying In Productions twice, and then I had Total Solution Productions.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
yeah, yeah,
So I want to start at the beginning because, to be perfectly honest, the beginning of your story is way crazier than the end of your story, and
yeah, yeah.
and it's super fun. It's like, So I was telling you before we started recording here that usually the morning of or sometimes the day before, I'll open up your bio and whatever you've sent me basically to review, and most of the time I actually know the people who are coming on Geezes of Gear, but
Right.
you and I didn't really have a relationship. I mean, you had my phone number in your phone, and I certainly knew of you, but I didn't remember if we'd ever met or anything. But with you, I didn't really have any background. So when I started
Sure.
reading your story, I was blown away. I mean, it is a literally a Hollywood story. You were born into it. So starting with
Yeah.
like I read that your first gig uh, was as a baby. You were a baby, and you were Paul Newman as a baby in what the
Correct.
Young Philadelphian.
Philadelphian. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
That Yeah,
How'd that
don't know
happen?
why. I guess my mom and dad. My dad was a big hairdresser in Beverly Hills. He used to do all the Playboy bunnies and all that kind of stuff, and all the starlets, and he was a big player. And my mom was just a housewife at that point.
Ah,
But she did get into the business. She was also talent coordinator for Queen for a Day back in the day. That was a thing that was filmed out of the Palace Theater. But yeah, I don't know how I got into the film. I know I made it into it, and that's the last thing I know about that.
are
But
you
then
still
I
getting royalties
continued.
from it?
I don't think I did. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
there's got to be a
Damn it.
lawsuit there. Yeah.
There's got to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that's
So
that's crazy. So your dad was a hairdresser for Playboy bunnies.
Playboy bunnies and starlets and all, just he was a big name. In fact, he was supposed to go to that dinner with Sharon Tate and the rest of those people that night,
Ooh,
that Charles
Jesus.
Manson. Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
he was big up there in that world. Like I said, my mom and dad got split up when I was 6, and
So which way
I,
did you go? You went to mom or dad?
I went. I went to mom. Dad was kind of like, okay, I've got this other girlfriend, and she's got a kid, and blah blah blah. So I saw him on Sundays, which was fine. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a good guy, great artist, great writer, good hairdresser, that kind of a
Yeah.
thing. But my whole thing was I had a relationship with my sister. I have an older sister, who's also in the music business, who helped me in different directions. Also, she worked with WEA, Warner, worked with ABC, worked for Jackson Brown, and a bunch of those people. So she was in the business already. And then my mom uh, was did the Queen for the Day thing. They got the divorce, and I ended up living with my mom. And my sister lived with us for a little while. And then she went off at 13 or 14 and did whatever she did. I think she was singing and playing in a play that was touring. So I lived with my mom, which was very interesting. Early on, my mom had a TV show called Head Shop. It was on
Okay.
channel 52 or 56 here in LA. And
Okay.
Elliot Mintz, I don't know if you ever heard of
I
Elliot
don't know
Mintz.
who that is. No.
If you look it up, he was John Lennon's big confidant forever.
Oh.
Went through the whole thing with them. But the show was about music of the late 60s and 70s. I think it was from 69 to 70. And I'll tell you, dates. I feel like Joel Walsh. The dates are a little bit hazy, mate. The 70s and 80s were fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no shit.
yeah,
I get it.
yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
it's
like
funny
I
because some people like, Jonathan Smeaton, I had him on recently, and Smeaton would say, yeah, it was 1972. I think it was March, and I was using a Roscoe. Like he'd tell you what color he
right.
had in the gel for Diana Ross or something, right? And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God,
who
right.
remembers
How,
that? Like
there's
just
people like that though. They
photographic
really
memory.
are.
Crazy,
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah. I've always said I had a pornographic memory, but that's just that's a joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, photographic memory. I'm very good with names and people like that. When I say, I can remember names because I meet so many people.
Right.
Anyway, I ended up moving with my mom. We moved up into the Hollywood Hills. And she had a TV show, like I said, called Head Shop, and like the Mamas and the Papas were around, and Sly and the Family Stone, and Timothy Leary, and a lot of times they'd end up at my house with the Doobie Brothers and Carradine playing all night. I mean, it was a hippie haven. My mom
Jesus.
was definitely spiritual, we'll say. I think she taught me to roll my first joint when I was around 9.
What? Oh my
Just saying.
God. That's
Yeah, she'd be so
wild.
happy. She passed away about, I guess, 12 years ago on my birthday. She did that on purpose, so I'll never
Nice.
forget. But that was
Nice.
like her, just like her.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So we'd have all these people in my house, and I thought it was terrible. And why can't my mother and father be like the Cleavers? I
Like that's
really,
full on
really.
Hollywood, like you
Oh,
were saying in the notes you sent me, like you'd be there and Jimi Hendrix was there and like just all kinds of different people. And who
crazy
did you say
stuff.
you said somebody was jamming in your living room, like Three Dog
Oh
Night or
yeah,
something,
right.
jamming in your living
Yeah,
room. I mean, that's just
yeah.
crazy. That's like madness.
Yeah, it was madness. As a kid, I really didn't like it. They'd all be stoned or something, and I'd go around spraying Glade in their faces. Yeah, you're all gonna die. You're all. I think I was 8, maybe 7
Oh
or 8.
no.
I ended up moving out of the house into a big cardboard box on the patio, so I could have my own space. And I had my little turtle with me, and we just hang out. And I made friends. Well, the TV kind of raised me. The
Yeah.
TV was like kind of how I learned to negotiate with people and things like that. And I always had a knack for like being an entertainer, like make them happy. If I make them happy, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out fine. I
Yeah.
might have been hiding other stuff, but like I was a ventriloquist, I was a magician, I was a stuntman, I was an actor. I did all these kind of things
Like and
just to.
all before you were 16 years old too, right? Like
Oh
really
yeah, yeah,
young
yeah,
kid.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Huh.
yeah. In fact, yeah. With my mom, she dated Sly's manager. They dated, but they were together all the times. David Kaepernick was his name,
Okay.
and yeah, and so they were around all the time. My mom used to take me to love-ins. She'd take me to the shrine. Self-realization shrine, which is a cool thing. She was into the I Ching and Tai Chi and Urantia and all these things that were all spiritual. Like she said, if
Wow.
you have 50 cents, if you have 50 cents, you give somebody a quarter. She taught me don't ask a woman her age, always open the door, stay on outside of the thing. And she was very, very together in that way,
Yeah.
which helped me along the way.
So she offset some of the
Yeah.
crazy bad stuff with an occasional word of wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I can go real deep but I don't know how deep you want to get.
However deep you want to get, I got time.
Okay, so
So
so I got raised in the Hollywood Hills. Chris York, remember Dick York from
yeah. Yeah.
Bewitched?
Hmm.
Well, I grew up with Chris and Matt York and the whole family across the street from me. So we were like best of buddies, best of buddies. And I had other friends that I grew up in the Hollywood Hills with. And I think I was 13 or 14, and we got a hit of window pane, which is a acid.
Acid. Yeah.
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 So I hadn't done it since that time, or maybe I did it once before. But I told my mom, we just did acid, and she goes, "You dumb shits. Let me drive you to the park. I'll take you to the park. I'll let you go for a couple hours and I'm going to come pick you up. Like, just like, I don't want you to hurt yourself. I want you to experience this in the right way kind of thing.
I mean, sort of smart, but really weird. Like if my
Really?
son
Yeah.
came and told me he just did acid, I don't know that I'd drive him to the park, but hey,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
worked for her.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but I've been able to deal with a lot of people in addiction and help with, knowledge and recovery and those kind of things too.
Yeah, you
Um,
saw it from
so
an early age.
I did.
Yeah.
And my mom was always cool though. It was just, she was just who she was. She was a good
Yeah.
person. And
Well, it was the
her
time
mother was
too,
a,
right? 60s and
yeah, the
70s. I mean, it
60s.
was the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. In fact, the first time I met Kenny Ortega, um, I think I was doing a play, The Music Man, and he might have been in the audience. And he asked my mom if maybe Michael would want to do a part in his play. And this is 1972, and he had a play that he had written about a rock and roll clown called Bimbo's Cosmic Circus. So I became a magician in that play. The play was like at 11 p.m. at night at Starwood. Before it was the Starwood in LA, it was called PJ's. So I get driven over there by my mom. I do this crazy play. I'm crazy insanity rock and roll clown story, which was a really
Yeah.
good,
And
really
how old
really
were you?
great. Darn it, I'm gonna say I'm 13, maybe 13.
Jesus. And it started
Yeah,
at 11 o'clock at night, too.
yeah, yeah,
How many
yeah.
nights a week? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember,
Like, was it
no,
every
but
night or one night or?
no, I think it was weekends or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weekends. And like another direction that happened to me is my sister worked at a place in the valley called the Blah Blah Cafe. And the Blah Blah Cafe had like Al Jarreau playing there, and all these blues and jazz and not much rock star, but more like a folk rock cafe, like the Baked Potato. Are you
Okay.
familiar with the Baked
Yeah.
Potato?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But this was a club or not a club, a restaurant that started. I think I'm going to be all screwed up with my times. My sister will tell me, but like at 4 p.m. Oh no, 6 p.m. till 4 a.m. it was open, and
And what was it
uh,
called?
all the Blah Blah Cafe, spelled
Oh, okay.
BLAHBLAH, and at 13, 14, I was washing. Oops, hold on, I lost my ear. I lost. I started washing dishes there
Yeah.
at this club, and it was right down the street from two. One was a drag show place. Another place across the street was a gay bar, and then all the cops would come in, and all the motorcycle cops and do their thing. And yeah, I just was like in this place, and I learned how to work on a soundboard, the little PA with the four dials on it, because they had like one microphone, a piano pickup, and so I did the sound there also. And then I learned how to cook a little bit, and I just was eclectic, like whatever turned me on, I got to be able to experience.
That's
So
wild.
yeah,
What a way to grow up. I mean, that's crazy. And
yeah,
so
it was.
did you get to, other than this cosmic circus thing, did you ever, get to expand on the magician thing, or was that just?
I didn't. I mean, I did shows for people in the house, and I've still never been to the Magic Castle, which I'm bummed about.
I was just going to
But
ask you that. Yeah, cuz I have friends that go to the
no,
Magic Castle.
I want to go so bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've never been, but I did expand on my stunt man thing. I was into bicycle motocross at an early age and skateboarding. I was okay at skateboarding,
Mhm.
but I loved horses. There was a place in the Hollywood Hills called Sunset Stables, and I used to take the Friday night rides from Hollywood over the hills into Burbank, hang out at the
That
skating
sounds
ring,
cool.
and go back over. So I started getting into stunts. All my friends knew that I'd do a stunt fight with them in any store and all that stuff. So we'd choreograph it. And these were all just because I really fell in love with stunt work.
Hmm.
Um,
How'd that
at that
happen? How'd you
point,
get into that?
Let me think about that. I think Evil Knievel got me into it. I was really
Huh.
into what he did, and then I love to watch old westerns and the falls and the fights and the fight scenes and things like that. So by the time I was 14 or 15, school was pretty much uh, not. It's like an afterthought. It's just not where I want to be.
Yeah.
So I used to hang out. I take a bus from Hollywood to Universal Studios, and I would. There was a guy Jim at the front gate. He knew me. I don't know how we met. Just me coming every day and him seeing me by the door, and he'd go, "Hey, what's up, Michael? You want to come in?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I'd go and hang out with the stuntman at the Western Stunt Show. It was
Hmm.
before any roofs. It was before the roof went on over at the theater there. It used to be the
Yep.
stunt show. Um, so I got really close and hung out with the stuntmen there where they taught me a bunch of stuff, which was probably illegal at that point, 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
Um, and that, and then I would hang out with the animal trainers and they'd pick me out of the audience most of the time. And for the shows, hey, you want to come up? Hey, you want to play with, work with the animals? I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So I worked with them and I worked with the stuntmen and, I started going to a stunt gym called Paul Stater's Stunt Gym in Santa Monica, and I had a good friend Kenny Lesko, who was a accomplished stuntman, and we used to do stuff together. And he trained me, and we ended up doing a lot of stunt fights, live stunt fights, and then on TV shows we do some stunt fights, and then like Gottlieb and Cream. Do you remember them? Gottlieb and Cream. They're a
No.
singing group.
Okay.
Anyway, I did a couple music videos where I did stunts in the music videos and ended up in Xanadu doing stunts in Xanadu, roller skating and things like that. It's the whole Kenny Ortega keeps coming back into my life.
Yeah.
Because Kenny was with the Bimbo's Cosmic Circus. Then my mom started working with him later in my years as his personal assistant, and I'd go work with him on I'd go work with him on a lot of music videos when we'd be shooting for 24, 48 hours and things like that. And either I'd get in the video or I'd work behind the scenes. I found myself liking behind the scenes better.
Yeah.
Um, but but the stuntman thing was really something I fell in love with. And by that time, I was telling you earlier that I at 15 years old I had my own apartment because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take my $100 a month child support and get an apartment, and then figure out what I'll do for money and that kind of stuff.
Huh.
So
Was that
yeah,
just to get away
so
from the craziness
insanity.
at the house? Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I guess some people wouldn't think it was crazy. I guess. I mean, a lot of people go,
Yeah.
"Man, you're so lucky," and I really was lucky because I got to
Yeah.
see amazing things. And I remember when I was a little boy, I said, I'm going to marry a Hawaiian," and because I went to Hawaii, my mom took me when I was a little boy. I'm going to marry a Hawaiian. Well, I ended up marrying a Hawaiian, so I've
Oh
got a
wow,
Hawaiian
that's
wife.
cool.
Well, she's from here, but her mom's from Hawaii, and we've been together 30 years now,
Oh,
and.
that's cool. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It's very cool. It's fun. It's fun. It's amazing ride. So the stunt thing came in, and I didn't know what to do. I was 12th grade at Hollywood High, not ever going to school really, and I said, "Well, what can I do? I don't know what to do." So I think I was going to join the Navy or something. It's kind of an embarrassing story, but this is what happened. I went to take my Navy test, and one of the questions in the Navy test was, "What would you do in a state of Chahos?" Chahos, what's that? I said I'd never been there because I knew chaos was spelled Kaos.
Yeah. That's funny.
From Get Smart.
That's hilarious.
That's going to be the name of my book, In a State of
Yeah.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chahos, never been there. And they're like,
That's funny.
yeah, it's funny and stupid all at the same time.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
I was just living on the edge of wherever I could fit in, and doing what I do. Um, so Kenny Ortega called and said, "Hey, do you want?" This is 1976. "Do you want to come up and join the Tubes? And I need a stuntman and a dancer. I know you know how to do." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And I knew White Punks on Dope, so I knew
Yeah.
that song, and and their first album, which was killer.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I'll do that." So I ended up flying up to San Francisco. He picked me up at the airport, and I ended up living there for a couple of years. Um, we had a 3-story warehouse in the Fillmore district. I'm not sure which part, but it was an all old warehouse district. So downstairs was the recording studio. The center or number one floor was there was one room with hardwood floors and dance mirrors, and then all the cases were around us in the other room and a trampoline. Michael Cotton lived next door. He was the artist and the synthesizer player, and Prairie Prince and Michael Cotton were the artists, and also he's the drummer and the synthesizer player. And then yeah, I ended up living in a windowsill, which was pretty cool. It was like you'd go by, a big window, like May
Yeah.
Company or something.
Yeah.
So, but it was all blacked out with metal bars and all that stuff. But yeah, I just okay, I'm going to go do this.
That's
Um,
wild.
yeah, so we started rehearsals, and things were working out really well. He put me in like 4 or 5 numbers. There, I learned. I had a good friend, Chopper, Steve Borges. I
Okay.
don't know if you know Steve.
I
Yeah,
know of him.
Chopper
I don't
was.
know Chopper, but I know
Yeah,
of him. Yeah.
yeah. Well, he kind of took me under his wing, as Prairie did, as Vince Welnick did, as all these guys did. Kenny took me under. I mean, everybody. Like I had a bunch of fathers and mothers and sisters, and like Ree Styles, the singer. She'd always watch out for me. Um, so it was incredible. Like I joined the circus for sure. And
But what does a stunt man do in
in
a
the
band?
show,
Yeah.
okay. So if you look at some of the old videos of the Tubes, they have dancers,
Okay.
and each song is a different character. The lead singer, Fee Waybill, becomes a different character. So he might be. Oh man, I'm gonna have a brain for it. Okay, so let's say they do a song, "God Bird Change," which is the character he is this character from Japan called Ray Dean. So he dressed up like this robot, and there'd be dancers with umbrellas around him, dressed up in Japanese kimonos and da da
Hmm.
da. And then there'd be
Very
another one
theatrical.
like he very theatrical.
Yeah.
Tom Jones, they do a Tom Jones number. They did a thing called Mondo Bondage. If you get some of that footage, I'll send you some sites.
Yeah.
But
I was never,
I
I'm a little younger than you, but like
yeah,
I knew White Punks on Dope, but I wasn't really into it, so I never saw a
right,
video of
right,
it or
right,
anything. I'd
right.
heard the song 1,000 times, but Talk to You Later, like the
Yeah,
later
yeah,
stuff that
that's
was
their
a little more
sellout
poppy,
stuff.
the sellout
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, the sellout stuff. But
Yeah.
that's where they make the money.
And I
They
saw
never
them
made money.
live one time, like very later on. It was at a NAM show. They played at a NAM show
Oh, really?
at one of the guitar companies' parties, or maybe
Okay.
Yamaha party or something. But
Yeah, yeah.
that was the only
Nothing
time I ever
like.
saw them live, and they were pretty tame.
Yeah, I remember when we got endorsed by PV. That was the big thing.
Yeah, maybe
PV
that's what it was.
endorsed
Maybe
us.
it was at PV that I saw
It
them.
could have been,
Yeah,
but there was an incredible show. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. Alice Cooper used to steal our stuff, and we'd watch him, and it was a major theatrical event. So I'll send you some. You can watch a
yeah,
whole
that's
concert. And
cool.
go, oh
No,
my
I'd
god!
love to see some of that stuff.
So,
So
as far as the stunt work in a band like that is, they had a part of the show where it was Johnny Bugger and the Dirt Boxes. So Johnny Bugger is Fee Waybill's character,
yeah,
and the band is the Dirt Boxes. It's a punk rock scene. Where it was a song called "I Was a Punk Before You Were a Punk." So I'd come out of the audience like a stoned, looted out punk, spitting at him. He's spitting at me, jumping in that people are getting pissed in the audience. And I jump on stage, and he does this whole big stunt fight with me. There's stage blood. I get dragged out by security, things like that. Another thing, I'm getting blown off 20-foot towers with pyro behind me, and getting caught by 8 dancers. So I'm blown off this tower, come into their arms and things like that. Then there's Quaalude, who's one of the characters. That's the guy that's with the white hair. Fee Waybill plays Quaalude, and I was one of the Ludettes, which was a backup singer,
huh.
along with Kenny Ortega. Leroy Jones was before I did it, but when I came in 1976. I'll never forget it. It was New Year's Eve, 1976, at the Palace of Fine Arts, and boy, did I learn a lot of stuff that night.
So Kenny Ortega was in the Tubes?
He was the choreographer and the director.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, and he was the original cast of Hair, things like that, and
Huh.
he's done so well. I mean,
Yeah.
just amazing. As you know, we
Yeah.
talked last week. In fact, for my birthday was just a couple of weeks ago, so we talked then.
Yeah.
He's remained a friend of mine. I've had a lot of mentors in my life, which is cool.
Yeah.
To
That's always
to give me
good.
a little direction. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so after I spent a couple of years doing that with the Tubes,
And
and then I
touring
think
with
I
them
blew up
as well, right?
with touring with
Yeah.
them. Yeah, touring. Yeah,
Yeah.
we went all over Europe. We went. We had a huge live album called "What Do You Want from Live" because they have a song called "What Do You Want from Life," which is a show. Yeah, I just got to show you some of their stuff. It
Yeah.
was off the wall, incredible. We got banned from Vegas because of too much nudity in our show.
Jesus. Huh.
Yeah, yeah,
You couldn't
it
get
was
away
wild.
from nudity in your young years, could you?
No, no.
Like, because everywhere you went, there was drugs and nudity. Like, what
It's
a life!
crazy.
What a
Yeah, it
crazy
was
life!
crazy. What a crazy life, true for sure. Like I shouldn't be here, right? Like I'm thinking, but there's some bigger plan than I got.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
I've got two daughters. I've got two beautiful daughters,
Yeah.
35 and 30, 36 and 34. They're
Yeah.
from a girlfriend of mine, and we got the best relationship, and they think it's fun. They said used to say, "Dad, you're our favorite toy." Fun
That's funny.
stuff.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you're not the average dad. I bet all their friends' dads don't have the stories that you have. Like,
Right,
I
right.
mean, you
Yeah.
got some crazy stories. But
Well, and go
so
ahead.
somewhere I read that so when you moved out at 15, you basically kind of left your family, right? Like you kind of emancipated and moved out on your own and said, I'm going to create a normal life for myself. And so that had to be hard, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was hard. It was more, I think it was harder staying at home and, being loved to death by my
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah.
She loved me. She loved me, and I hated it for the longest time. I'm
Huh.
sorry about my dog
No,
barking.
that's all good. They do
Um,
that.
yeah, yeah, they do that. They do that. That's my
They do that.
spiritual advisor anyway.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
my I love my dog.
She's telling you
Yeah.
something right
She
now.
said,
She-
yeah, probably. I love you. It's just
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you,
but yeah, I just wanted to get out of there,
yeah.
and see what I do. What will I do? What will I do?
Yeah.
And I knew it was something going to be in the industry somehow.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
you
yeah, I don't
know,
think you could avoid that at this point. Like you weren't going to go be an
right?
accountant or something. Chances
No,
were.
no.
So did
Yeah,
after the Tubes, did you keep going? Did you keep touring? Did you
I
stay?
did. I did. I started touring. I became a drum technician for a few bands. I've got to work with Charlie Drayton, Prairie Prince, Russ Kunkel, Vinnie Caliuta. Being a drum tech on some of their shows. I took my next tour. I think from '76. I don't have to look at my paperwork really. I think I went from the six maybe to 76 to 78. I was with the Tubes, and then I went to with Louise Goffin, Carole King's daughter,
Okay.
and I worked with Danny Korchmar and who else? Waddy was there, and a few others, and we did her first Kid Blue tour. And what I was the tour manager. I went from a dancer to a tour manager pretty quick,
How'd you know
which
how to
was
do
which
that?
was
I mean,
okay.
it was just like a natural thing.
Just
Like,
being around the industry, just
yeah.
just being around the industry. I was always on time. I was always a clean guy. I always wanted to get things. I can take care of anybody else. Me, not so much, but
Yeah.
others, I can take care of very well. In fact, I love doing it.
Yeah.
It's self-esteem building. It's nice to see someone smile and get something they need. And it was on a small tour. It went to Maui for 2 months. That was my tour, so it was
Rough.
easy to be a tour manager there. We
Yeah.
had one set up at the Blue Max and stayed there for a couple of months, and that was my next gig. After that, I went to Jackson Brown. I might have this a little backwards. I'm not sure which one
It's
was
all
first,
good.
but Jackson Brown was an amazing tour for me. That was my first arena tour. I
Oh,
was I got to work with Roy Bickle, who's one of the biggest riggers in the world.
yeah.
I got to work with such amazing artists. There's too many. Billy Payne, Russ Kunkel. Um, I became a drum tech for Russ because I
Yeah.
always liked drums. In fact, I forgot to tell you, my mother managed a band, and Jimmy Keltner was the drummer of the band. You know Jim Keltner?
I
Have you
don't.
ever heard the name? Okay, he was a drummer with the Beatles. He was a session guy.
Oh, of
Beatles
course. Yeah, I know who
and
he is.
blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He gave me my first drum pad when I don't even know how old, 9 years old or something.
Jesus.
Um, yeah.
That's
So
cool.
I always played drums, and even when we went to those Love In Crazy things, I was always playing something. I remember my set of bongos and things like
But
that.
you never
So
actually started to play. Like you never joined a band as a drummer or anything.
no, no, no.
Just
I
didn't
always
have the
liked
passion for it.
doing the stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
sure, I'd love to do. I'd love to be able to write music. I guess I'd love to be able to create that stuff, but I get to create this other thing for them and make the crowd happy and make
Oh,
sure
that's
they're
true.
cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
it's fun. It's
Some
so
people
much
prefer
fun.
it that way. I think you said somewhere that I read that your sister worked with Jackson Brown, or maybe you said it just on
She
here.
did.
So was she
She
out there
worked.
while you were out there?
She came out a few times for sure. She was
Oh,
in
she worked
charge
for their
of.
record company.
She worked for a manager, Peter
Oh.
Golden. Peter
Oh,
Golden.
okay.
Gold. I think it's Golden Light. I don't remember, but yeah, there's some pretty heavy hitters back in those days, and it was the '80s, early '80s, so it was
Yeah.
Hollywood, L.A., and got to
Lots
work with
going
a
on.
guy named Mac Holbert, who was the manager for the Doors at one point, I think, and
Yeah.
just amazing people, amazing people. So that Jackson Brown tour, I got to work with Billy Payne and David Lindley, and watch. I sat behind Russ Kunkel and just made sure that he was cool. And we were the second bus out, first second bus out, boom, the first, the band bus, then us, and it was
Yeah.
very nice. It was really
That's cool.
cool,
Yeah, that's
and I
very cool.
enjoyed it.
Is
I
she
enjoyed it, but I always go
did
ahead.
she stay in the business?
My
Your
sister.
sister? Yeah.
Yeah, she did. She stayed in it for a long time. She worked, like I said, from with that manager. Then she worked with Billy Idol's manager, and what's the other guy? Tom Petty's manager. I forgot his name. I'm having a brain fart.
Yeah.
But
I forget his name
Tony
too.
Dimitriadis.
Yeah, yeah, of
Tony
course. Yeah.
Dimitriadis. She worked for him for a long time. She worked for him for a long time. So if I needed a gig in town, I could go over to the record label and we stuff records and to send them out to the A&R people or radio stations. I should have kept them. I should have kept some of those albums.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? No kidding.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
is she still in the business or she's retired now or
She's retired, but she helps others in recovery.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No shortage of need there,
No,
unfortunately.
exactly.
Unfortunately,
There's
yeah.
a great. Yeah, I know. It's just. And now you're dying from it. It's crazy. It's
Yeah, yeah,
crazy.
this fentanyl thing's disgusting. What's going on?
Yeah.
And the crazy sad thing is I don't know that I know anyone who doesn't know someone who's died from it,
Right. Yeah,
and
I don't yet. I don't know
oh,
anybody yet.
really? Yeah, cuz like
Yeah.
I don't know, a year ago my insurance girl, she's probably 25 years old or something, and she called
Right.
me up one day and she said, I just want to get this taken care of because I'm going to be out a couple of weeks. And I said, oh, what are you going on vacation? And she said, no, my fiance just died. And I said,
Wow.
what? Like, how old was he? And she said 26. And I
Wow.
said, what happened? And he went out with his buddies for a boys' night out one night. And I think they were celebrating something. And, they got a little bit of blow and they all died. Like four of them, they all died.
Oh
And,
my God.
I mean, just crazy. And that's just in Tampa, very close to where I'm at. But, yeah, it's terrible. That's a
Yeah.
terrible, terrible drug. I don't know what we're thinking
I don't
with that
understand
stuff.
it. Yeah. I think my one daughter, Thais, she lives up in Ukiah, California, and she's had so much loss this year between from starting off from her her doggy love of her life to like
Yeah.
6 friends in a row has passed away from either drug addiction or suicide or this and that. So she's been dealing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy time.
It is. Yeah, it's sad. And well, that
Hmm.
and then combined with all this shit from COVID with, way too many people who are maybe not as healthy as they should have been. And,
Right,
uh, you
right.
know, you've lost a lot of
Yeah,
weight, because all your
yeah.
pictures, you were a whole lot heavier than you are right now.
Well, almost died. I almost died last year. How
Oh my
exciting was that?
goodness.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear
I was
that.
190. I was 190 or 189. And in 4 months, went down to 150.
Good for
So we
you.
thought I had, well, no, it wasn't good
Oh,
for
it was a
me.
bad thing? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
you
was a
didn't do
really
it on
bad thing.
purpose. I thought you were saying you
No,
had to do that because it was a
no.
health thing or something.
No,
Oh,
no. I'm 5'8". I was about 180. I was in good, pretty thick shape, and
yeah.
in 4 months, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk. I'd be fainting,
What was
bashing
it?
my head on the ground. Well, okay, I'm getting there.
Oh,
um, yeah, so I'd be on a gig. Like I'm semi-retired now, and I go and do stagehand work.
hmm,
Which is fun. I mean, for me,
yeah. Yeah. Keep
maybe
busy.
get to teach the kids something if they want to learn, and teaching me stuff that I usually had my guys do forever.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, yeah, here I am, business owner. I'm sweeping up a stage. Here you go. But you know what?
Oh,
It's okay. It's all
yeah.
good. It's all good. Or putting up carpentry or props or things like that. But what had happened is I lost this weight. I was on show calls or load-ins, and bam, I'd fall down and I couldn't breathe, having a heart attack and all these things. And I thought for sure I had lung cancer because everyone in my family's almost died from lung cancer, smokers, all of them. So when did my blood work, did some lung scans and heart scans, and they couldn't find anything. So they're thinking maybe it's long COVID. So I'm going again this year, start of the next year, to do more lung scans and heart
Oh, so
scans
they
and
still
stuff.
haven't figured out why this happened. Oh, that's
No,
scary.
yeah, so my wife's convinced it's long COVID, but she's not really a doctor. Um,
Yeah.
but
But women
but
know
yeah, it's
stuff.
scary.
Women know stuff.
Yeah, women do. They do.
They know
Yeah.
stuff.
And if they,
Try and
don't,
prove them wrong.
you're right.
Good luck to
I,
you.
I'm I'm learning to say, honey, you might be right.
Yeah.
That's all I can
Yes,
do.
dear. Yes, dear is the
Yeah.
short version of that. Yeah.
Yes, that's
So,
that's a hard one.
yeah. So after all that stuff, I know you went on to do a lot of tour managing, production managing. Um,
Hmm.
so you did that till the mid '90s, right?
Yeah, till about 95 was the last tour I did.
Yeah.
94, 95, and from there I just quit the touring. I was 18 or 19 years constantly living out of hotels and buses and things like that. And
Just needed a
I
lifestyle
have
change.
I got a
Yeah.
lot of friends who still do it at 65, 70, and I'm like, no, I
Loads of
can't do
friends.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, loads of them,
Yeah.
and they're doing well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw recently, I saw you posted a picture of you and Cosmo. Cosmo's kicking ass out there. I mean, he's
Yeah, he
doing all
is.
kinds of stuff. He can't tour enough. He loves it still.
I
Like
know, I
he
know.
that is a disease that is in his system and will never go away, I don't think.
What a good
He'll
man though, huh?
oh
What
my
a
God,
great man.
one of the nicest people in the business.
I know. It's so
Yeah.
nice to have those relationships. And it's changed over because when I'm working with these young kids now, I said, man, we always had each other's back. We never left somebody behind. You never threw a knife in anybody's back. And now it's like, that's all it is. And I'm like, wow, you call this a
Yeah.
brotherhood?
Yeah, it's weird
Yeah, it's
now.
not the same.
It's
Yeah, it
different
is.
now.
It
Well, the
is.
other thing that I
Yeah.
liked, on a lot of the podcasts that I do, especially with like lighting designers and front of house engineers, whatever, but there's a common theme with sort of the older guys, the geezers or older women or
Hmm.
whatever. But it's
Right.
usually like if you ask them, like what advice would you give? And one of the things that everyone always says is say yes and figure it out. Just
Right.
basically say yes to
Hmm.
everything and go figure it out. Because as soon
Yeah.
as you say no a couple times because it's not like sort of within your current purview or whatever,
Right.
they're not going to ask you again. And
That's
so
true.
people just had a more like can do, will do attitude, I think. Whereas
Yeah,
now it's
yeah.
like there's this little box. Give me stuff that's within this little box. This is my
Right,
expertise, right?
right, right. It's
But
so true.
yeah,
Thank God I did that too with Yes, because that's, I mean, I made that dress for Cara. I owned a couple of corporate event companies later.
yeah,
After, when I got off tour, I got into the film business when it was actually film. And I was
yeah.
working with the director, Mark Kapos, Kapos Films, and his great company. And I
Doing what?
started as a PA.
Oh,
I
okay.
started as a PA, started at
Hmm,
the bottom, so I
hmm.
can learn all, from tour managing the Pointer Sisters, Shaka Khan, or Tina Turner, or the Cowboy Junkies. Then I went into film business, and I wanted to learn the behind the scenes of the film. So I started as a production assistant, where I got to work with every department. And from there, for a couple of years, then I came up to be a second AD, a second assistant director, and
Okay.
that was cool. Um, After that, we wanted to get up. My wife and I wanted to leave Venice, California. It was a little crazy. We had friends that moved down to Irvine, California. So we moved down to Irvine, California, which scared the shit out of me. There was nothing but white people here, white Republicans, and they were haters, and it was so scary. It scared the shit out of me. Not
Yeah.
saying that, I'm just saying it was very scary. Like I drove my Toyota pickup, 4-wheel drive. It was a little louder than some of the nice cars down here. It wasn't a piece of crap or anything, but I'd
Yeah.
get pulled over with guns by the cops. You got any drugs or
Jeez.
weapons in the car? I said, no, I'm just going home. It's like,
Yeah.
your car's too loud. I'm like, okay, sir. Yes, sir.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
What, they think you
So
were
from,
some kind of gangster or something? Like
I
because
don't
you had
know.
a
I
noisy
didn't have
Toyota
the
pickup
right
truck?
car. I
Yeah.
didn't have the right.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It is crazy.
So it
They
took some
call it
getting used to.
woo, with kicks I'm getting used to. And what I did from there for work is um, corporates were starting to come into to business now. We're shooting on videotape and the big old tape cassettes, and I started doing sales for a company called the Communications Group,
Okay.
and they had a few. We do some corporate events, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Yeah, this is cool. The thing about the Communications Group is they couldn't communicate. It was so funny. I used to call them the lack of communications group.
Oh
Um,
God.
they treat the client like crap, and I'm like, oh my god. I said, I could do this. I could do this and make it right. And what I did is I ended up opening a company. A lot of people said, hey, we're going to come with you and things like that. I said, hey, that's you. That's up to you. I won't ever steal anything from anybody. They said, no, but we like working with you because you have such whatever I had. And I started bringing some of the rock and roll technology into corporate events. Lasers and water screen projection, and uh, just different black boxes. Like if I did a car, I'd come up with, like, let's say I was working for Daimler Chrysler, and they asked me to come up with the creative for the new Amante when it first came out, the Kia Amante.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's do this. And like you said, that yes thing. Oh,
Yeah.
sure, yes, I can do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I said, let's do this, and it came out really well. And I hired I surrounded myself with people that know what they do. Like I hire the right guy for the right job,
Yeah.
and I just manage them. And if they need more management, I give it to them. And when I need to be hands off, I'm hands off. But like I've always said, I'm nothing without my crew. Nothing. I'm
Yeah.
not one. This big. Everything is bigger than me. And the biggest
Yeah.
thing is the client's vision, the client and the customer and the audience's vision. That's all. We make people happy for a living.
Well, that's another sort of old school mentality. Like I think a lot of the younger people today, and now I sound really old, but a lot of the younger people in our industry today forget that you're not the star. You're the
Yeah,
one making the star look or sound good. You're not the star, right? And
right.
so, whereas I think most of the Cosmos and the people who have been around this business a long time never make that mistake. Like they always
Right.
know what their job is and when they're
Right.
stepping over the line and stuff. They know the rules.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know the code.
Yeah.
So you did
Yeah.
the
I
Great
got to
Wall of
work with.
China thing too, right?
I did
That
it.
had to
Yeah.
be
I went
cool.
to. Oh, it was so cool. It was very interesting. I was hired as a stage manager for Paul George with Gorilla Production Group.
Yeah. Ringo.
Um, Him and I. You know Ringo?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ringo hired me to do that. I used to hire Ringo for a lot of my jobs.
Yeah.
Oops, there goes my
That thing
earpiece.
keeps falling out.
I
Does the
got
other one
one in
work?
here.
Okay.
Yeah, the other ones were
That's
fine.
all you need.
I need smaller. Anyway, I worked with Ringo on that, and a couple of his guys. Steve Crandall's another guy that I love working with. Crandall, man,
Yeah.
he can do anything kind of guy,
Yeah.
MacGyver, and great
Yeah.
attitude. Anyway, so I went there and we did the Great Wall of China, first concert at the Great Wall of China, which was an incredible experience. By that time, I've already toured 5 continents, with tours and things like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So I had a little savvy, but my first time in China, so I watched them build those bamboo scaffoldings
I
and
know. That's
carry.
crazy, isn't it?
I know,
That
and the
is nutty
power
to
that,
watch. Yeah.
oh my god, and carrying these 200-pound terracotta, terracotta guys, the warriors, those terracotta
Oh, okay.
warriors
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, these were images of those, but they were just about as heavy. And these
Yeah.
guys are going all the way up, 14, 18, 20 feet in the air, walking up the scaffolding, and watching
Yeah.
that, and watching how power's done, lowered, just these big
That's
generators with
frightening.
no
Yeah.
ground,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that was cool. The only thing that was very strange, other than being there and the food, was that the Red Army was there, and they wouldn't let the audience clap. It was sold out, and they wouldn't let the audience clap. So we had Boys to Men, Alicia Keys, Cyndi Lauper, and nobody could clap. It was
Why can't
very
they
weird.
clap? Because that means
I
they're
don't
happy
know.
and they're not supposed to be
Yeah,
happy.
something like
So why would
that.
you have a
Yeah,
concert then?
I don't
you know,
know. I don't
like
know.
just stand on stage and yell at them, in
Yeah,
Chinese.
yeah,
You're useless. You are an
yeah,
idiot. You're fat. You're ugly.
yeah. I
Like
didn't get it. I
why
didn't
have a
get it.
concert? I don't get it. Why make
Yeah,
them happy and then
no,
say you're not allowed to be happy? you
that's
know,
weird stuff, man. Weird
it's
stuff.
bizarre. Keeping them
Yeah,
from
so
clapping.
yeah, I did that. I went over to China for that, and then I got hired. Also, I grew up loving the Lakers, and I got to stage manage 2 Laker parades, which was fun. Just
Oh,
as
that's cool.
freelancer, yeah, it was very fun. Everything I do is fun. If you're not
Yeah.
having fun, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Even in miserable conditions, like I try and make it the best experience of the day. Like whatever, this is okay.
Well, you know what? I mean, like somebody really old said to me one time, like, at the end of your life, you're not counting your money. You're not, you're counting your friends and you're counting your memories. Like you're looking back
Oh
at
right,
what are the things that I remember? What are the cool, things that I've done in my life or the people I've met, the people I love in my
yeah,
life? Who are those people? And one of the
yeah.
cool things
That's
about your
important.
life, as long as you can still remember them by the time you get to that point,
Well,
uh,
this will help me.
you got some
This
cool
will help me.
memories. You
Yeah.
have some unbelievable memories. I mean, again, Three Dog Night playing in your living room. That's pretty nutty. When you're a
And
kid.
I'm working with Brickman, and working with Buford Jones, and working with Roy Bickle, and working with
What'd you do with
Peter
Brickman?
Morris. I think it was the Tubes back in the day. It could have been something else. Like I
Oh,
say, it's hard
yeah,
to remember everything,
I
but we were
get it.
out there for a
Yeah,
long time together. Maybe it was Jackson Brown. I don't remember, but it was a long time, and we hung
yeah,
very well.
yeah. Brickman's a super cool guy. Have you seen him recently?
Yeah.
Because he's still where
We
is he in Malibu or
he's
something?
I don't know where he is, but we hadn't talked to each other in about a year, and we just linked in together,
Uh,
just like
well,
2 weeks ago.
last time I spoke to him was probably I don't know 2 years ago, and I think he's got a gallery like a small gallery that he does.
Oh, really?
And yeah, he's doing art and he's doing all kinds of different crazy stuff. And he's having a blast. Last time I talked to him,
Yeah,
he's having a blast. He's, a little frustrated and annoyed with the industry because, our
yeah,
industry forgets sometimes too quickly. Like they forget that
yeah.
you're Mark Brickman, one of the greatest lighting designers in the world, and you worked with Pink Floyd for 30 some odd years. And,
And then the
you're an
World Trade
amazing,
Center thing,
yeah,
or the
you're an
lighting the what?
incredibly talented guy, but we're going to pick this guy over here who's 25 and he'll do it for, a third of the
Right.
price of you or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
It's a weird scene. It's a weird scene. Like I this whole thing. We had a venue that just shut down. Have you seen any of that on my on my Facebook or anything, is
No.
we had Five Point Amphitheater here. We used to in the '80s we had Verizon Amphitheater Irvine Meadows.
Okay.
Irvine Meadows, or we like to call it Irving Meadows because Irving Azoff owned it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had that, and they shut it down so they could build houses. So ever since the '80s, late '80s, they promised to build another venue. So for the last 4 or 5 seasons, we had a temporary venue called Five Point Amphitheater,
Okay.
and Live Nation ran it, and it was in with the city of Irvine. And I was telling you about the corporate takeover and all this other stuff. Well, it's the way of the world right now, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I just watch how people operate, and I like,
Yeah.
if they're good, they're good, and if they're not, they're. So Live Nation did a really good job at the venue. They did
Yeah.
a really good job for the guests and for the crew, for the labor, every aspect they really watched out for, and I was very impressed on how they did it. Well, Irvine Company pulls out of the deal after they've already broken ground for our new amphitheater and said, we don't want an amphitheater that big in our city anymore. So what they're doing is they're mowing it down, and they're putting up more houses. And let's say most of these houses out here in Irvine, maybe 50% are, no, 100% are bought, but 50% are lived in. A lot of the people who buy them live in different countries, and
Yeah.
they don't
They're
even rent them.
corporate
Yeah.
buyers and stuff.
Yeah, they don't even rent them out. So you got like 4 families on the street. So they're doing more and more building out here. They don't want a music venue out here. The one that the city of Irvine wants to do, maybe a 6,000 seater where they can do 300 shows a year and do like school shows and things like that. I said, and they'll have their own in-house lighting and sound. So that screws the union. You're not
Yeah.
going to bring a national touring act that can't bring in their light,
No.
sound, staging.
No, you'll
Yeah.
end up with little local like tribute bands and stuff, a Journey
Yeah, yeah.
tribute and a whatever
Right,
tribute,
right.
and yeah,
Yeah.
we've got one of those locally here, a little amphitheater that everyone goes there on Thursday nights and sits on the
Right.
grass, and they have food trucks, and they get these
That's
tribute
cool.
bands every week. I mean, it's
Yeah.
cool, but it's not
It's
a
not
venue where you're going to see Fleetwood Mac or the
right.
Eagles or
Right.
somebody come through and play, right? Like you're not
Right,
going to see anybody.
exactly. And
Yeah.
we had great years. I got to work with that's how I started working again with the 504, the IATSE union out
Yeah.
here. I used to hire them back in the day, and now I'm just doing jobs where they put me on. I don't have a lot of seniority, but I do. Plus I'm Social Security. I can't work all that much anyway. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to limit the amount you work, right?
Yeah, 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 exactly. So
You've
I
been
just
doing
turned
stuff
down
with
more.
Charlie too, right?
Charlie Guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Charlie. Charlie's a
Yeah.
mentor of mine too. He's helped
Yeah.
save my life, man. That dude's a good man.
Yeah. He runs a really nice business too. He's done very, very well for himself. I remember when
And
Stage Tech was small, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
They've
his
done
sons
really
are
well.
doing great. His
Yeah.
sons are doing great.
Yeah.
Really good. Bryce and just the other one got married, and
I don't
yeah.
know the
Sorry, I'm
sons. I
ticking.
only know Charlie.
Yeah, yeah. So Charlie's a good man. I used to hire him, and then when I needed a job, he hired me.
That's
And
cool.
I keep telling him, hey, if you ever need a stage manager, because I haven't really pimped myself out much.
Yeah.
Like I did like maybe 7 or 8 shows, and where I was a production manager or stage manager, and then I did a lot of the union stuff.
Yeah.
So one thing I like about the union stuff is they got me into the theater. We have Segerstrom Performing Arts Center here, which
Yeah.
is a state of the art, beautiful theater, and I'm working on Broadway plays and stuff like that. And it's
That's cool.
so cool because it's rock and roll is a little looser. This
Yeah.
is structured, boom, boom. I mean, every pinpoint. I really enjoyed it, and I'm learning so much in that place.
Yeah.
But
Well, and Licos are a lot lighter than moving lights too. So
yeah, but the moving lights they got now are so heavy. I almost had a heart attack. I'm telling you, I'm still dealing with a little bit of this can't breathe stuff. So I
yeah.
have to take these shots of albuterol to breathe, and but we're getting more tests done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was telling you, I worked with that communications group, and then
Yeah.
I got out of that, and I opened up Flying In Productions, Flying In. And I got that name from whenever the director, Mark Kopos, needed something, we'd always say, "Flying in, sir, flying in, no problem." It's like, yeah, you got it, flying
Yeah.
in. So I opened up Flying In Productions, and I got to, have divisions of Daimler Chrysler, Toshiba launched their tablets, Microsoft. There's a lot of them, and I was bringing that rock and roll look and feel in a corporate way, make it
So
look
what
pretty
were
and
you
things
doing
like.
for those shows though? You were
I was
production
the owner
manager
of the
or
company. No, I was the owner of the company. So the client would come to me and go, "I got 100 by 100 booth, nth degrees building our set design. We needed
oh, so the whole
lights,
thing,
sound,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, the whole thing. Managed it, yeah. Bring in the crew, the power, the labor, work GES, yeah, the whole thing.
Huh.
And I did that a couple different times and had great success. Again, surrounding myself with the right people.
Yeah. Yeah. People
That's
matter.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
Well, I
matter.
mean, look at the hell that our industry went through since COVID. Like when COVID kind of like when the clouds were lifting and shows were starting again, and nobody had enough crew.
Right.
Suddenly people were like, "Oh my God, I should have taken better care of those people. Like I shouldn't have laid off half my staff or whatever." Right.
Right.
And then, so
Right.
many people just had enough and they didn't come back. Like they got gigs for Amazon or whatever during
Right. I
COVID, and
tried
then
that for 2 weeks.
did
I
you?
tried that for two. Yeah, I screwed up my knee. I was like one of the oldest guys doing it in the warehouse. I'm like, nah, this is not happening. I
Yeah.
tried it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it's taking care of your people, man. It's like,
Yeah.
uh, that's something I used to do all the time too. Is like, um, if the client's not buying lunch, I'll take $500 out of my pocket and buy it myself. I mean,
Yeah.
because to me that means more than anything. So it's $500 or $1,000 less than I'm making. That's okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's myself that it's my company or me, which I don't own anymore. I'm too tired to do all that stuff. I think I'm
Yeah.
too
It's a
tired
lot of
as
work.
out of that the hustle, the
Yeah.
hustle.
Yeah.
I don't mind working for others, but I had a good time having my production companies because I gave it my all, and I came up with some good stuff, and I work with Jeremy Railton. You know Jeremy?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah, Jeremy Railton and I worked together. Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm making noise. It's gonna
Oh
fall out
no.
of my ear. I need
You're not
some
making any noise
smaller
on this
holes.
end.
Okay, yeah. So Jeremy and I worked together. He had a show, an event called Stratus Rewards, which was a white card, like a credit card,
Okay.
and he had me do the whole production for that. And it was like a 7 city tour, and we had a great time doing that.
That's
Then
cool.
yeah, and Michael Cotton, as I don't know if you know Michael, but he
I
came
don't.
up with all the set design for the last Michael Jackson tour,
Oh yeah,
This
of
Is
course.
It
Yeah.
tour,
Yeah.
and so many credits. And he's just got stuff in the museum in New
Were you
York
doing
and
anything on that because of your
on
relationship with
This Is It.
Ortega? Yeah.
Well, I was what happened to me is I started finding this 20 millimeter LED fabric out
Okay.
in China. And there's a company that does it really well now, and I forgot the name of their company, but I was like one of the first to bring it over. And I talked to Michael, and he wanted to make a costume for Michael Jackson that he could wear, where it had full video. He'd come out of the spaceship, and blah blah blah. And this whole video montage is going on, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, Michael ends up passing away,
Right.
and then Michael tells me, "Hey, on my next show, well, somehow I'm going to get this LED fabric into something." I'm like, "Okay." And what do I know about LED? I
Yeah.
really don't know that much about LED, but I
Right.
can manage. I can manage, the team,
Yeah.
and learn a lot. Yeah, sure, I can do that. The only problem is when you do that with the Chinese company, you're not going to get what you want. It's very bad. It's
Yeah.
sad.
There's always a gap between what you asked for and what you actually receive. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an
So
interpretation.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 100% waterproof. I promise, 100%. Yeah, right. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I'll tell you about that story. But anyway, Michael does the set design for Carrie Underwood's Play On tour, And he says, "Hey, can we make a dress out of this stuff?" I go, "Yeah. I mean, it's heavy. We're gonna have to build a frame and da da da." And but it's 20 mil LED, and it'll look great. So we made a dress for that tour, and it toured, and it looked well. And it was the first time like anybody had a full video outfit on.
That's
So I was
cool.
able to do. Yeah, I was able to do that, which was cool. Work with a great team. And then again with Jeremy Railton, he came to me and saw the LED fabric, and he goes, "Listen, I'm in Macau. I'm going to be doing a show in a design for a casino hotel called the Galaxy in Macau, Galaxy Hotel and Casino in Macau." And he did this Lucky Diamond. I don't know if you've seen it. Lucky Diamond fountain, water fountain that comes up. There's this big reveal. Just Google it and you'll see.
Yeah. I've been
I'll
to
send you a
Macau. I
link.
just don't remember if I saw that or
Yeah,
not. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, that was a thing I did with him, which I say 90% turned out well,
Yeah.
and I don't like that number at
Yeah.
all.
What
I
was the
mean,
other
I was supposed
10%?
that my fabricator couldn't after 7 8 times. Like we built every cable, every data processor, every power, the whole thing. Nothing came fabricated. Everything had to be fabricated. So we had to fabricate the panels 7 different times. I mean, I didn't. I ended up not making any money, but everybody else got paid, which is
Yeah.
fine. And then I had to bring on another company to finish it off, which doesn't make me happy, but my happiness is that the client gets taken care of. And
Yeah.
Jeremy, I mean, I guess there was a lot of that, but I'd put all these panels in. I mean, the thing was maybe 50 feet in diameter. I had about 300 of these panels that were 3 foot long by 6 feet wide, and they'd lay into this circle, and you get full video and waterproof, the whole thing. It was gorgeous looking, but they kept burning out, and just killed me. I was there for 7 months, and I got really
Oh,
sick there.
Jesus.
One of my
Yeah.
workers was in the hospital for 4 months getting blood transfusions.
From what? Food poisoning or something?
Food poisoning or some funky wet
Ooh,
market, eating something he shouldn't have.
lovely.
Yeah, yeah.
Lovely.
So yeah, but it's a beautiful thing, and 90% of it's mine. And everybody was having problems there. Everybody was
Yeah.
having problems, and yeah, it's just I wish I went some different way, but it's like one job in my life that I'm not 100% happy that
Yeah. You
it
don't
didn't
feel
come.
great about. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But they got paid and they got what they wanted. Eventually, they just had to bring in a top tier guy and tell these guys what they needed to do. They needed
Yeah.
to be in stainless steel. It needed to be dipped. It needed to be all this stuff, and I couldn't get more
Crazy.
money to do any of that stuff. So, but it worked out. It worked out, and we remained great friends. And I got to work with some great guys over there.
So let me ask you this. You've done a lot of things. You've had a lot of fun. If you could change something, what would you do differently?
I could change something. What? Well,
All the way
first of
back to
all,
like when you were 15 doing the magic and the or 13 or whatever it was in that crazy circus show.
yeah. What would I change? Um, well, there's one thing I would change: the addiction that I got into
Yeah.
early. That's the only thing that I would change. I mean, because everything that brought me to the point I'm at today has been a magic ride. I
Yeah.
don't regret it. I love
That's
it.
cool.
I
That's
fell in
awesome.
love with it. Yeah, I mean, like when I go to the to do the gig, I go, "It's the best day ever, guys. Let's do this. Let's kill it. Let's
That's
have a good
awesome.
time."
What a
And
great
like
attitude.
Andy Kinnon is one of my bosses over at the venue, and he's with the 504 and a good friend. And yeah, Springer, you're always in such a good spot. And a lot of the younger guys, why are you so happy? Why are you so happy? I'm like, bro, we get to do this for a living, and we get paid.
Yeah. It's
You
true, isn't it?
know,
It's true.
at 65, I'm still doing that. I get so much energy like a little kid. It's
Good for
weird.
you. No,
It's
I mean
Yeah, I love it.
that's an incredible attitude. I love that. So,
Yeah, it's fun.
did we miss anything? I think we covered a lot of
No,
stuff.
I think we covered a lot of stuff, man. And there's more into. I'll write the book, and we'll have more stuff. Maybe.
We'll do it again. Yeah, we'll do
I
it
would
again.
love to.
Write the
Yeah,
book and we'll
man.
do it again. No, I mean anytime. You have a great story. You're easy to talk to, and
You are
anytime.
too.
And if I can help you with anything, reach out to me too. I know lots and lots of people in the industry.
Yeah, we know the same people, I'm sure, and
Well,
lots
some
more
of the
that you
same
know
ones.
than
I
I
never
do.
toured.
Yeah,
I never toured, so
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Like the
You
only
didn't have
touring
to.
people I know are some production managers, lots and lots of lighting people, some audio guys and girls. But
Hmm.
I never toured. So like a lot of people will say, "Hey, do you know Roach? Do you know this
Yeah.
guy? Do you know that
But you
guy?"
already knew some of these guys because
Yeah,
we've
but
talked about it.
yeah, but only a handful. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Right,
know. I didn't share buses with eight other guys or whatever. Like it, I just
right,
never
right,
did
right.
that. So,
Lucky man.
so I know it from sort of a surface level. From a distance, I
Right.
kind of know these people and have great relationships with so many people in our industry. But I'm
Yeah,
usually the
man.
guy that gets yelled at when the lights don't work or something, right? Like that
Hey,
was
yeah,
always
we
my
got to have
thing.
somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, you know Colin Water, don't you?
Of
Over at
course.
TMB.
Yeah, of course
Yeah,
I know
Colin.
Colin.
I would go
Yeah.
back to the TFA Electrotech days.
Yeah. Yeah, I had
Yeah, he's a
Marshall
good man.
Bissett on the podcast. I don't know, 3-4 months ago, probably. Uh,
I've been really digging your podcast too. I've been
oh,
going
good,
back and
good. I
going.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I love it.
We
There's so many
try
people.
to,
I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. That's what I feel.
it's all about preserving the stories and making sure that young people, especially coming up through our industry, know where it all came from. Because
Right.
people don't know that people were building speakers in their garage or
Right.
who was it? Paul Dexter talking about building par cans from pineapple cans in
Right.
Hawaii. Like
Yeah.
I mean, just crazy, crazy stories.
Have you seen that thing that I sent you about rock and roll rowdies?
No,
Rock and roll rowdies. These guys are from the 60s and 70s from England, and they have their little podcast, and they've got some stories, man. They've
no,
got
I never
some
saw
stories.
that. You sent that to me?
Yeah. Maybe I didn't, but I will send it to you.
Yeah,
They have a
please
little
do.
podcast. They're
Yeah,
really amazing. Wilco is a good dude, and yeah, it's really fun. And
yeah,
I get to see most of the tours that come through our venues. Like Springer, what are you doing here? What?
that's awesome.
What?
Yeah,
It's so
that's
much
awesome.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
buddy.
Well, great talking with you. I appreciate you doing
Great
it.
talking to you.
And
Yeah, me too. And we'll talk. We'll talk.
yeah, please.